as much as I know when to take off, I usually don't. And I'm like that's why I always like admire what you've done, Jack. Like you will just sprint and you'll just skyrocket when the market's hot. And I will too, compared to my average. But then I'll just like stick around all year long and make money, but I'll do it like with so much more energy. And I think this next year, like 2022, I would love to like actually take a full month off, because I've never taken a full week off. What is up, guys? Twist, we are back. Me, myself, and I, Jack and Mari. Last week it was just me, but Jack and Mari are back. They are traveling as their lovely little backyard there. What is going on, guys? How you guys been? What are you seeing in the market? What's new for you guys and for trading? Just everything around, all about.
For me, I've kind of tried to tone it down a little bit after the big loss that I had on CAR last week. It was actually last Tuesday. So giving back half of my month of October, I thought that was very difficult for me. Trying to get back to the basics and trading as little as I can, just because I want to kind of reevaluate everything that I'm trading, how I've been trading, and just thinking about all of the mistakes that I did on Tuesday, and going forward, I need to have a lot better rules on these first green day low flow NASDAQ. So just thinking about how I'm trading, the size that I'm trading, and also where I stop out, because I should have stopped out the high day on that Tuesday and I never did. So I feel like it was all just a bunch of mistakes that I did in one trade. And I feel like one trade it could, like, quote unquote blow you out mentally. And also if you have a smaller account, you can't really account for these type of losses. So trading OTCs mainly, and I feel like they've been picking up a lot more, and I do like them a lot better. The risk to reward is a lot easier and there's a lot more reaction time. So that's what I've been trying to focus on for this week and moving on into the next few weeks.
Yeah, for me, kind of similar to Mari, like took a really big loss on CAR, and for me it was a little bit different. I did stop out like at the right areas, but I put on way too much size on CAR, so it was a really big loss. It was about a quarter of last month's gains for me, and also took too many attempts on the dip buy. And if you looked at the chart, it never really gave a significant bounce. And you saw a few other traders also lost a bunch on Twitter. So it was really hard stock to trade long or short. And this week, after that, I took a day or two off, and then I got into a couple of OTCs, ILUS, UIBL, RGBP, Fern, traded those. Something just a little bit of a slower pace. Bought those with a set risk and let them swing for a bit. Actually just sold a couple of them today and ended up being a decent gain. I mean, I didn't make back my loss by any, but I'm not going to try to make back my loss. I'm just going to try to get back to a process, and I'll make new highs when I make new highs. But just moving forward, like with NASDAQs, it's just not something that I'm really good at trading unless it's something that is moving because of Wall Street bets or something like that. Like I do really good on GME, AMC, Hood, like a lot of these stocks that are Wall Street bet candidates, or even like the few other pumpers on Twitter. Like I don't trade their pumps very well. It's like the Shibas, the GMEs, the AMCs, the Hoods, like those I'm pretty good at trading. I don't know why, but that's just something I've noticed throughout my trading. So maybe just not trading as many NASDAQ setups in the future.
Yeah, I like that. For those who are watching this episode who haven't seen last week's episode, I dive in pretty deep what mistakes that seems like Jack and Mari also made along with myself on CAR. I go pretty deep in that, so we're not going to go over that too much more in this episode, but please go watch that back. it seems like after what they just spoke or shared, like same things I had to deal with, and rules we need to correct moving forward. Since then, since like DWAC and Fun and Car, I thought Nasdaqs would like keep heating up or keep popping up. But I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this week has been quite uneventful in that area, in a sense that I just haven't really taken much NASDAQ trades, nor seen any opportunities that I particularly like, specifically on the short side. But there's been more opportunities on the OTC side, which Jack mentioned, which we'll go over here. Let me actually just share my screen. We'll just get right into it. I'm not up too much in the week. I'm only up like maybe a grand or two, simply because I've taken some losses on the long side for some of these OTCs. RGBP was my biggest win. I took it over the weekend on Friday. If we go into the intraday, former runner, now kind of having some green days, having some strong kind of a bounce back after downtrending for so long. And into the close, you can see that it was holding its morning spike highs at like 2.7, 2.6s with all these little dips here. And I like that a lot. So I started accumulating some. I started buying into some of these dips. Late day, it broke to new highs, sold a small piece right into the close just to lock some in, but still had the majority of my position overnight. Was risking red green the next morning, Monday morning. We spiked out the open, sold the rest into the 3.3s and locked in like 7K. So that was really sweet. But Mari, you and Jack mentioned you sold yours today. So I guess you were kind of having a bigger picture or a longer term time frame than I was, in terms of at least a day or plus, or a day longer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought I sold some also into the morning spike that next day that you said, but I never sold it all just because I thought I would sell when it went red. And when it went red today, that's when I sold. When I took it, I was risking maybe 25. When I took it at 27, risking maybe 25 or something like that. And it never hit my risk. So then since I was traveling into Monday, I just set a stop loss, and I waited for then to my risk to just be red to green, since I knew that I wasn't going to be at the screens for all of that.
Yep, I like that. Same for you, Jack. Same idea.
Yeah, so I ended up putting a couple fantasy orders in at like 3.2, 3.4, and I actually put a fantasy order in at like 3.48, and I think it was like almost a dead top. Yeah. So I sold some shares yesterday, but I still had like 2/3 of my position. And then I sold that into the morning panic today. Same kind of idea as Mari, risking that red to green level because of how well it usually holds on the stock. So it was something that I noticed on the chart, and I thought that it'd be a good area to risk, especially because I was traveling. So
yeah, totally. Part of me, I remember selling my last few portions into the weakness on what was it, Monday? Because I actually thought, like, similar to you guys, I thought I could have gone a little bit higher. At least on the last day. I didn't think I would have sold the same time if I was holding it any longer. But yeah, just based on its previous runs, like going into like the forest wouldn't have surprised me. So maybe in a few weeks or a few days they'll consolidate and break out again. That would be really cool, but not going to try to predict the future. So like I said, I made 7K on RGBP, but I'm only up like 2K on the week. Why is that? Well, ILUS is just my favorite stock of all time. Being completely sarcastic here, I mean, this was a huge run and breakout back in like September. I know, Jack, you killed it on this breakout long. I did not. I don't think I made any money on the long, just because I had the same issues I had back then I'm having now. It's consolidated for another whole month or so, and now we are attempting to break out again. And for me, I'm not one to like anticipate a breakout necessarily, where I know a lot of traders are, and I think a lot of traders are still swinging this to potentially go higher. However, for me, I was trying to buy the breakout and I failed miserably. I think I lost practically every trade I've taken on this thing. But I know, Jack, you did better than that. So I'll let you describe how you traded it, because I just bought every top and sold every bottom. So I'm not going to be much help.
Okay. So I first entered the swing position on that first green day. Yeah, that day right there. Mari kept talking about it. She was bugging me about it. She kept saying it's gonna break out, it's gonna break out, it's gonna break out. But my kind of plan on this one was not to pre-exhaust. So I saw a lot of people getting excited for it. So I was like, it's probably not going to happen because there's too many people excited for it. But I came back at the end of the day and I was like, this price action's just too nice. So I did buy some shares, right? Like I started that little perk there into the close. And I put on a position. And then the next morning when it gapped up, I drank the Kool-Aid, unfortunately, and I bought a bunch, like triple down or quadruple down or something. And I decided to risk that 39 level because I know how this one can go red, come back based on the daily chart. RGBP held its levels, unlike ILUS, it kind of fakes out a lot. So it was looking good. And then the next morning it dumped and I sold like a little bit of shares because I was annoyed. And then it came back. And then like I had some ads and some cuts throughout those couple days, but nothing like drastic. And then yesterday it looked good. It broke over 50 and then it perked and then just dumped. And then today, Kyle, if you can go to the daily real quick.
Mhm.
I didn't really want to worry about it anymore. And I didn't like how it wicked the breakout 3 times. So I was like, I've given this enough time. So I ended up dumping most of my position underneath the day low. And I dumped quite a bit of shares and I got like, they pretty much soaked all, like, I think I was the biggest red candle there today. I was like the only one who sold and they just soaked all my shares today. So that makes me think it's pretty bullish. I still have a small piece on from that 40-cent average, that first buy. So I'm still in the trade. I'm up on it slightly from my ads throughout the, I'm up on it a little bit. So kind of my new plan is once it doesn't have a morning panic and can consolidate above VWAP for a little bit and then can perk through 50, maybe I'll add some shares on there, but it's really hard to tell what it's going to do. It's still holding up in the 40s really well. And today was a big tell for me when it didn't dump after it looked like it was going to have a morning panic.
What about you, Mari? Any trades on it still holding, or did you whiff it like I did?
I definitely did. I feel like for me, the day that I was just so excited about it and it just looked so good on the daily and it had a first green day, held over VWAP. It held every level for the whole day. So I was very excited about it, but then I didn't take any shares because I was busy that afternoon. And I feel like what messed me up the most was the average that I had because I knew I wanted a lower average and I never got that lower average. So I never got the size that I wanted. And then I just chased every single time, like it created a trigger every dip, and then I would just sell into almost every dip. So I definitely, like, almost every single trade that I took on it was maybe for a loss because I'm just expecting it to work right away when it holds these levels, when it creates that trigger. Like yesterday when it held all day, created that trigger into power hour, I would have taken it again because yesterday on
Oh, right here.
yeah, right there because it held so well and also it got over 50, but it never really did anything. So I feel like as a trade swing idea, it worked very well for a good average, but as a day trade, it just fakes out many times. When it should do this, it doesn't. So average for me would have been really important if I wanted to trade this as a breakout, but I feel like now as a day trade, it's not that easy to trade it.
No, not at all. And I think that's why I screwed up so many times on it, because I tried day trading it when in actuality, just the way it moves and is holding. Like I like Jack's comments or your comments, Jack, when you're saying like it's not breaking out convincingly, but it's also not breaking down either. It's kind of just chilling on its highs, which is certainly more bullish looking than bearish, especially on the daily chart. The issue is like I suck at swinging these in terms of like this kind of a pattern of like swinging for the breakout. You just don't know when it's going to happen. And so I try to day trade it like almost every other day and was like buying spikes, selling dips. And so I just lost a lot. And I think I agree with you, Mario, of like the average is key, especially if you want to swing. And, I just don't have a good average. And so until I, and again, part of me like, okay, well, why don't I just buy into a dip, risk a lower low, and then hope it breaks out. But then for me, I have like no conviction. I need to see like it working, like it's trying to break out. And I also have been able to like set a wide risk and let it work. So I don't know. I've been tearing myself apart trying to do this, and I'm this close to just blacklisting it. I might just never trade it again. But I want to talk about no necessarily other trades, but I want to talk about maybe just sectors as a whole. I know Tilray has been looking strong recently, which is a good indicator for weed stocks. I know, Jack, you love to see that. Any comments, any game plan? Because usually, I mean, for those who don't know, weed stocks typically get a run or two every year or so, just based on, new regulations, new laws. We had a huge run in Tilray in the beginning of this year, but I mean, kind of everything had a massive run. So I don't think it was revolved around any legal or new laws being created, but I believe there's more progression being put in place. I don't know if it's the end of this year or next year, but there's just, because I mean, weed still isn't federally legal at this point, which is actually kind of mind blowing to me that it's not. So Jack, comments, concerns, thoughts, anything?
On a charting standpoint, Tilray I don't think it's really had like a significant bounce after that major run. And I still think that the weed stocks, like people know, like some news is eventually going to come about these things. I don't know if it's this year, next year, the year after, but it's going to be federally legalized. I think so. Just based on especially the politics that we have right now, they're very bullish on drugs. And I've always liked the weed stocks because I know them like the back of my hand. And unfortunately, they're not even remotely as hot as crypto. If crypto's pressing new highs and it's going up, but we're still trying to find a bottom here. So Tilray, on a technical standpoint, I really like the chart because of how well that $10 area is holding. And $10 was actually the previous breakout, and it's a very key level. And if you see Tilray, it's the first time that we have created a higher high. The chart has been downtrending ever since the summer, and it kept downtrending even when we got big volume there on the earnings. It had positive earnings, which is good, and then we just kept downtrending, but we had that perk off 10, came back down, double bottom at 10, and now we're breaking over that high. I do have a swing position now on Tilray, and I'll be risking that $10 area moving forward, with goals in mind of this bouncing into January or February into the 20s, 25, 30s, maybe the 40s. But I do think that a significant bounce is going to come, especially as crypto gets hotter. They kind of run like hand in hand. Like 2017, we had crypto, and then we had weed, and then last year we had crypto, then we had weed. So I'm thinking that weed's eventually gonna find its rotation and rotate up.
I like it. I like that you brought up crypto, because crypto was out, which I was going to talk about. Let's bring up the chart here. We are just pushing highs. This is an hourly chart where we're trading at like 68,000 or so. If you follow me either on the breakdowns chat, I've been talking about all the stocks I own that are related to crypto. If you're part of the Small Cap Rockets with Matt and I, the cryptos that Matt and I are watching, and why we're watching them, or why we're watching this sector as a whole. And just looking at the daily chart, I couldn't be any more excited. I think we're going to like 100 grand per coin easily. Just based on I remember me and Jack were talking about the breakout at 20K back in November. We both bought that breakout, and we never even touched it since. Now it hasn't been the same case here. We obviously have broken out and then faked out, but just how vertical Bitcoin can get, as we've seen, and how much news is coming out with how many ETFs. It almost seems like every other country wants to start an ETF with this thing, including America, with now has, I think, 2 or 3 that are coming up, available soon. One already being available. So yeah, I just no particular analyst or analysis on me, other than I think we're just going to keep going up, keep going higher, probably into the end of this year, early next year. 100K plus would be my estimation. And I mentioned that because it's going to bring a lot of opportunities in the stock market, like with I mean, there's so many, I could list a ton, but there's like CRCW. I know Jack and a couple other guys have some positions there. I know I'm long like Mara, Riot, BITF, VYGVF, AAB. I can go on forever, but there's a ton. I don't really know where I'm going with this. Obviously, I'm just rambling because I'm excited about crypto. But that's like the market analysis for me on it. Other than that, I think just going forward, let me actually stop sharing my screen here. Other than that, going forward, like I just think it's easy to want to keep making stuff happen, especially after we've been given huge opportunities like Fun or like Car, and not having seen like follow-up moves in other stocks or other sectors. But we were just talking about this before us three were just talking about this before we started this episode of like, as much as I enjoy traveling and we enjoy traveling, usually like December through February is like not the time to do it, especially if the market gets hot. And I think that's the time to hunker down. So I would rather much just play it cool now, maybe go on one more vacation in November, maybe early December. But once the market gets hot, like that's the time to like really focus. Because even though there's opportunities now, there hasn't been, at least after DWAC and Car, there hasn't been anything like I need to be in front of the screens for, especially since I've just been losing on ILUS and other OTCs that aren't really working that well. But yeah, I want to see what you guys' thoughts are. If you agree, I'm sure you agree, but for newer traders, that's like the theme of you'll know when it's hot, and when it's too hot to handle, like you just don't even go on vacation because it's just that insane. So.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the beauty of these jobs. You kind of get almost 6 months of after you work so hard during like the winter times, which is like the time where you get the most volatility. Well, that's what history says. So ideally that's what happens again, but you get almost 6 months to travel and explore and just see so many new places. And then there's also the time, like there's a time for everything. So there's also a time for being very zoned in and just know that that will be the time to like give your job like the most that you can, just taking all of the opportunity that you can. And I feel like that's what will happen with us, that this will be like the last vacation for a while.
Yeah, I'm on that wave with exactly what Mari said. So definitely have enjoyed the summer, and next year I hope to enjoy it more. Not even just with traveling, just with the pressure that we as traders naturally put on ourselves, to kind of show up and make money and trade and do this and that. So this year, like these past like few months, is the least pressure I've ever put on myself to perform, and started caring about like other things in life, and it's been a lot happier and more fulfilling for me on a life standpoint. And now I have new goals and new challenges outside of the market during the summers. But when it's winter, it's time to hunker back down and focus, because I can make the majority of my money in a few months to 6 months in usually the winter and late fall market conditions. So we're starting to approach that time, especially as we get closer to Thanksgiving. It was just daylight savings time, so that's a big thing that I know a few traders talk about. That causes traders to wake up earlier and creates more volume, more volatility. People start to get bored. People start to have extra money around this time, and it's not going to be the summer anymore. So it's time to focus back up, and then next year even try to not put as much pressure on myself again, and then really find that really good balance of the markets in life.
I love it. I love it. I could learn from that because I mean, they know me. As much as I know when to take off, I usually don't. And I'm like, Like that's why I always like admire what you've done, Jack. Like you will just sprint and you'll just skyrocket when the market's hot. And I will too, compared to my average. But then I'll just like stick around all year long and make money, but I'll do it like with so much more energy. And I think this next year, like 2022, I would love to like actually take a full month off, because I've never taken a full week off, guys. Like I have a problem. I don't overtrade when I'm in front of the screens, but physically walking away for a somewhat legitimate period of a time, like I just don't do. Like I always have checked in on the market, so that's something I definitely need to work on going forward. But yeah, anyways, guys, thanks for watching Twist. Hope you guys learned something. Comment in the section below if you guys want any like particular different topics to change it up. I have a feeling we're going to start bringing on more guests as the next coming episodes come out. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we will see you next week.
Comment a guest down below that you want us to have on.
There we go. Great idea. Later, guys.
I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Thanks so much for watching and being part of the StocksToTrade community. We wouldn't be here without you guys. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Our goal is to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, but we can't do it without you guys. So if you like what we're doing here and you want to hear more, please, please, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.